Before we can start making more advanced programs, we need a way to capture and store data in our programs. C++ is known as a strict data typing language similar to Java. For this course, we will be using 7 different types of data. These are known as primitive data types as opposed to structured data. They are stored by value and not by reference. The first 3 are integer, long, and short. These are numbers that might appear on a number line. Or maybe you want to count the number of cars in a parking lot. How about the number of students in a class? Or maybe even the number of soda cans in a case of soda. These numbers do not have any decimal portion. Next, we have double and float. These data types we'll use with a decimal portion. These data types might hold values that include decimal points, such as the number of ounces in a water bottle, or the value for the number pi, 3.14 or 3.14159. How about an hourly wage? When using measurements, we often use a decimal point. The last 2, character and bool. Character might represent a letter, like a capital A or a little a. It might represent a punctuation symbol, such as the new line symbol, which is a \n, which can be used to force the computer to go to the next line. Comparison operators are also characters, less than, greater than, equal signs. And Boolean variables are either true or false. Since the computer stores data in bytes, let's quickly review the size of each primitive data type. The character data type takes up only 1 byte of memory. The short data type, which is still an integer with no decimal portion, takes 2 bytes. Integer, long, and float all have 4 bytes reserved. And the largest of the data types is the double. There's 8 bytes of memory allocated for every double variable we declare. When choosing a data type, try to choose the smallest possible type to hold the data values. This reduces the amount of memory and increases the processing speed of our program. Let's take a look at the program datatypes.cpp to see an example of how we can define each of these different variable types. We start by defining a character letter, equals little a. A short variable called age is set to 10. Count is 575. We declare a long variable when we know the number is going to be large, such as the number of stars in the sky. A float can represent pi, 3.14. A double might be used for price. Finally, a string might represent a season, equals summer. Let's run the program and see how it reads these values into the variables and then prints them back out again. Okay. One more item I want to mention about data types. We talked briefly about the character data type. The character data type is interesting because it stores all characters, numbers, and symbols as decimal values. For example, the letter capital A is stored as the number 65. We can see the translation of all the codes using an ASCII code table, which provides the character encoding scheme used universally by most programming languages. In this program, I wanted to show you what it looks like in C++. I declared a character variable called temp. I have a for loop, which we'll talk about later. This is a loop that keeps repeating, starting at 0, up until the number 127. I assign the temp variable equal to the variable num. That does an implicit conversion that takes whatever the number was and converts it to a character. So again, the number 65 will be converted to a capital A. Then I print out the numeric value and the character. So let's see what it looks like. I need to scroll up in my console window because I went a little too far. There, on the left-hand side, we can see the decimal value 65 is the corresponding letter capital A. If I scroll down to 97, you'll see there's the little a. So all characters and punctuation have a corresponding decimal version when you store them as a character.